Good morning, everyone. We're here today to announce the results of Project Poppie, an ongoing investigation stemming from the shocking gunfight that occurred on Queen Street West on November 11th, 2024. As you may recall, that incident was an audacious, reckless, dangerous exchange of gunfire that occurred in downtown Toronto. It is nothing short of a miracle that no one was injured or killed, including innocent civilians or our police officers. On that night, 3 suspects arrived at a building on Queen Street West in a stolen motor vehicle. Each suspect was armed with a handgun. They opened fire into the building. That building was a music recording studio hosting a packed birthday party. The occupants of the music studio returned fire. And in the chaos, the original suspects took cover behind an unmarked police car occupied with 2 plainclothes police officers. The vehicle, with the officers still inside, was hit repeatedly by gunfire. The suspects in the stolen vehicle attempted to flee, but were intercepted by responding police officers. One of those suspects was apprehended. 2 managed to get away in the chaos. Meanwhile, numerous individuals fled the recording studio. While they did so, they discarded multiple firearms on the ground, in the laneway, and in nearby garbage bins. Officers quickly entered the studio and discovered multiple individuals in a significant cache of firearms, including automatic weapons, assault rifles, and handguns. You'll see disturbing video momentarily showing these weapons being carried and fired during the gunfight. You'll see what our officers are facing on the street daily. In total, we seized 16 firearms and arrested 23 individuals that night. And several people were charged with firearm offenses, and one of them with failing to comply with a court release. Following further investigation, some of those charged that night had their charges stayed. Also, one suspect arrested last night was charged with the April homicide of a Mr. Matthew Burgard. A task force was created, led by the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, to identify those involved in this gunfight. They have been relentlessly seeking suspects since this incident and will continue to do so until every individual connected with this case is brought to justice. This case serves as a powerful reminder that the Toronto Police Service remains unwavering in its commitment to holding individuals accountable for actions that endanger public safety. I want to take this opportunity to recognize the officers who bravely ran towards the gunfire that night. Think about that for a moment. They ran towards the gunfire. I'd also like to thank the task force, many of the members that are here today, for their unwavering dedication and commitment to making our city safer. Now, I will turn things over to Inspector Paul Krawczyk from the Gun and Gang Task Force.
Good morning, everyone. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the bravery of the men and women who responded to the incident that night. They found themselves in the middle of a firefight and responded with such bravery. These officers put their lives on the line to arrest numerous individuals and seize a significant number of firearms that night. This was an egregious act in the city. What you'll see in this video is not just illegal, it's brazen. Guns treated like toys and lives treated as afterthoughts. I'd like to bring to your attention the video on the screen. This was a group of individuals who seemed alarmingly comfortable, not only carrying illegal firearms, but also treating them like props at a party. You'll see they casually play with the handguns and rest them on their laps before dancing around like it's some kind of celebration. What started as reckless posturing escalated into chaos as we allege they began to fire back at a rival gang, wildly spraying bullets into the street without any regard for human life. It's shocking behavior that underscores the danger these individuals pose in our communities. In the aftermath of this incident, we assembled a dedicated task force. Members from the Integrated Gun and Gang Task Force, centralized shooting response teams, and street teams, along with the Public Safety Response Team, investigators from 14, 52, and 31 Division, the Homicide and Missing Person Unit's Forensic Video Analysis Unit, and Intelligence Services all came together to launch Project Poppie in November of 2024. They were supported by the Ministry of the Attorney General throughout. This team was led by Detective Sergeant Mike Palermo, Acting Detective Sergeant Brent Johnson, and Detective Jeff Correa. Many of them are here in the room, and I just want to thank them personally for the amount of work they've performed here and the success of the project. They have worked tirelessly since day one, identifying and tracking down those responsible. This is not easy work, especially when those are violent suspects who know they're being pursued. I cannot say enough about the dedication of these investigators. Our streets are safer today because of them. One of the first steps the task force took after reviewing the evidence was to consult with the Ministry of the Attorney General to stay the charges against 5 of the people initially charged that night. Since then, the task force has arrested 14 additional suspects and laid over 100 new charges. The news release we're sharing today outlines their names and the charges laid. It also lists 9 people who have warrants for their arrest in relation to this incident and who we are actively looking for. The ages of the individuals arrested range from 16 to 30, with the average age being 22. We allege that almost all those arrested were directly involved in the shootout or were in possession of 1 or more firearms. Additionally, during the investigation, we arrested an associate of one of those accused who was breaching the conditions of a court-ordered release. At the time of his arrest, he was also found to be in possession of an illegal handgun. While we've made significant progress, there is still work to be done. We are actively looking for 9 other individuals we allege were involved that night. They are Mohammed Kehere, 28, of Brampton; Caleb Odulate Stewart, 25, of Toronto; Olad, 25, of Toronto; Jadane Hamblett, 22, of Brampton; Jamarlee Smith, 23, of Toronto; Delano Williams, 25, of Toronto; Jonari Walker, 19, of Brampton; Noah Belnaviz Esu, 19, of Mississauga; and a male youth who is now 18 but was 17 at the time of the offense, who is not being named. Let me end by saying this. Our message to anyone carrying illegal firearms or engaging in gun violence is clear. We will not stop coming after you. The work of the Toronto Police Service doesn't end when the gunfire stops. This city belongs to its residents, not those who threaten its safety. We'll continue working until that message is loud and clear. Thank you, and we'll now take questions.
Inspector Catherine from Global, can you speak to, you mentioned that after the task force was assembled, the first thing that happened was the Crown State charges against 5 suspects. Why was that done?
So the first thing was the task force got together was getting through the evidence, getting through the video evidence that we collected. As you can appreciate, the night, it was chaotic. And obviously people are found in proximity to firearms. And so they were arrested and charged for that reason. But once they went through the evidence fairly quickly, they realized that 5 of them actually deserved to have their charges stayed, worked with the Ministry of the Attorney General, and that's why they were stayed quite quickly, in my opinion.
So none of those 5 people have been rearrested or charged?
None of those 5 people have, and I don't expect them to be.
My supplementary question. At the time, many of us in the media obtained video that was posted on social media showing people, as you said, posturing in the recording studio with their guns. Was it that video that led to the 3 suspects arriving in the stolen vehicle? And was it a rival gang situation, do you allege?
So, well, I'm alleging it is a rival gang situation, yes. I will say that it's obviously part of the evidence we're looking at. Common sense says that obviously if you're putting stuff like that on social media, it very well could grab the attention. But I'm not going to comment directly on that, but it's definitely something we are looking at, yes.
Was it mentioned that one of the suspects was also wanted in a murder? Can someone expand on that?
So that night, a 16-year-old youth was arrested who ended up being charged in relation to a separate murder.
Can you name the gangs involved or that are being investigated? Or?
So I knew I'd get this question, and it's a good question, but I'm not up here to give them any notoriety whatsoever. I don't want to say their names. They don't deserve it, and quite frankly, I don't see the purpose. We know who they are, and that's the most important thing, but I'm not going to name them.
And do you think these suspects are still in the GTA, Toronto, somewhere from Mississauga? Do you think they're hiding out somewhere here? And if so, what do you want to say to friends, family, people who may know where they are?
Yeah, you know, people are going to know where these people are. I would encourage them to do the right thing, and if they don't want to call police directly and give their names, to please call Crime Stoppers, because, you know, these are very dangerous people. Are they all in the GTA? Likely not. But I'm sure some are, and we're actively looking for them. The thing is, you know, CPIC goes everywhere. So these people can't outrun the fact that they're wanted, and they will come into contact with police, and they will be in our custody at some point.
Of those that you've arrested, you said in the new batch, there's what, 16, how many people? 14 additional new arrests.
Yes.
How many are out on bail?
About 8 were out on bail at the time they were arrested.
Are they back out, or are they now before the courts?
Some are still, many are still in custody, and some have been released, yes.
You don't have a specific number?
I don't have a specific number with me right now.
More questions? Can you just speak to the video? I mean, it's shocking to see when we air this, you know, in our stories on the news tonight. I mean, that's a shocking video.
So I completely agree with you that it's shocking. There's a couple things that strike me when I look at that video. First of all, the casualness of what they're here with guns in their laps like they're cell phones. They're dancing around, celebrating basically with these guns, jumping around. They don't have a care in the world. It's like they don't expect that they're going to get caught with this. So whatever we've done in society that's allowed these people to have the confidence to do this thing, I'm obviously not going to figure that out tonight or today, but the reality is something has allowed them to be this comfortable, posted on social media. That's the number one thing. Second thing is, you know, I would love to say that this is not happening across the city, but the reality is there were police officers there that night that were brave, got involved, got caught in the crossfire, and the quick response is what allowed us to be there right away, obviously, and make arrests. And people have to get rid of their guns. This is happening across the city, right? There are people that are getting together that have guns, that everyone's showing up practically with a gun. The reality is we got there quick, and that's why we have so many in this instance. But I'm not going to stand up here today and say this is a complete rare instance, because I don't personally believe it is, unfortunately.
Inspector, do you think this recording studio was like a clubhouse for this gang, or has it been used before? If I live in the neighborhood and there are tons of condos down there, you know, it's an unforgettable night. What was the purpose of this place?
Well, I'll put recording studio in air quotes, because I mean it's somewhat of a recording studio. I guess it has some equipment. The reality is I don't have that information, whether that's some place, a common place. I know it was one of theirs birthdays who we arrested that night, and who is facing additional charges on this go around. But I don't know whether they've used it before.
You say whose birthday on the list?
Yeah, it was Montague's.
Okay, thank you.
Can you talk about, is there any new findings of the investigation into the firearms they're tossing around that day?
So I believe when we announced earlier, all the handguns were illegal, and they have all traced to the United States, and that was done within a couple of days of the shootout. Other than that, obviously they're sent for ballistic testings, which can make linkages to other crimes, but I'm not here to talk about that today.
Inspector, just with the recording studio, and put in quotations, was there any involvement in music in the songs that were being recorded that was linked to sort of part of this gang battle?
I don't have information that there was something being recorded for the purposes of putting it on YouTube or anything that night. Obviously, gangs, one of the methods of getting information out and dissing each other is through YouTube music videos, but I don't have that information with me today.
One more question.
Why put out this video? What's the point? I know you're looking for 9 other individuals, but is that why?
Yes. Well, for instance, if you look at there's a person in red that you'll see in the middle. He's one of the wanted parties. And I want people to be honest, I want this to shock people in the sense that I want these faces to get out there. We need to find these people. We need to get them off the street. And it's important for the residents of the city of Toronto to know that this is what's happening in their city. And I'm hoping that this will get more attention so that we can get these people and bring them to justice. Thank you.
This concludes today's news conference. Thank you, everybody, for coming. And again, anyone with information can contact police at 416-808-2510, or you can contact Crime Stoppers anonymously at 416-222-TIPS. Thank you.